Hi, everybody, and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode, we're doing Who Was Better. The topic for this Who Was Better? Two friends, two rivals, two guys who are pretty much synonymous with each other's career. And that's William Regal versus Finlay. Now, if you haven't seen my Who Was Better videos before, we grade everything on a 1 to 5 scale. There are 8 categories. 1 is the worst, 5 is the best. At the end, we total up the points. There is a chance at the end for 5 bonus points. With that being said, let's jump right in. First category, technical wrestling. And we're going to start with William Regal, the real man's man. He is getting a 5. You could argue that during the time that Regal was a pro wrestler, he was the premier technical wrestler in the world. Kind of like what you would say for Daniel Bryan or maybe a Zack Sabre Jr. So yeah, he has to get a 5. Now for Finlay's getting a 4. If you go back and watch his matches, especially with Regal or people like Booker T or even he who shall not be named, Chris Benoit, you get to see just how good Finlay really was. And I don't think a lot of people give him the credit he quite deserves because of his placement, both in WWE and WCW. But I think he's one of those guys that was either 10 years too late or 10 years too early. I can imagine him being in a spot where like a Sheamus is or a Walter or Gunther is right now. He's that type of wrestler. Now going over to our next category, striking. I'm not going to lie, both these men are getting a 5 here. Again, go back to their matches against each other and watch them just beat the crap out of each other. It looks real, it seems real, because most likely they were really smacking the crap out of each other. These guys are amazing at this, that's why they both get a 5. Next category, how they perform as a heel. For Regal is getting a 5. He is absolutely amazing, especially in the King role, and somewhat of the goofier heel side of him too, where he wasn't afraid to let himself be the butt of the joke. That kind of thing that makes him, in my opinion, a more well-rounded character. Not necessarily than Finlay, than other wrestlers in my opinion. I thought he was awesome here. That's why he gets a 5. For Finlay, he's getting a 4. The only reason why Finlay is a little bit lower than Regal is I don't think that Finlay ever got to that tier that Regal was in. And Regal didn't exactly get to that main top tier either. But he was kind of on the level of, like, let's say a Rick Rude or a Scott Hall. And that's an amazing level in my opinion. That's why he gets a 5. Next up, how they perform as a babyface. I'm giving both men a 4 here. I think they're awesome. I think they both did really good. My biggest gripe in this is opportunity. Neither one really got the opportunity to show us how great they could be. Like I just mentioned, I think Finlay could have been a main eventer. Regal definitely could have been a main eventer. Regal to me is one of the very short list of wrestlers that never won a world championship that I think definitely should have. Him, Scott Hall, and some others, but those guys are obviously at the top of the list. Like I said, they both were good. I just don't think the opportunity for them to be great was there. That's why I can only give them a 4. Now we move to our next category, promos. For promos, Regal's getting a 5. To me, William Regal is almost a perfect wrestler, and as you can see on the scores so far, he's grading out that way. I loved his promos. I thought he was really good at it. That's why he's up here. Now for Finlay is getting a 3. And again, this isn't really a knock on Finlay. This is probably his weakest part of his game. And I don't think he was bad. I just think he was serviceable. I keep bringing up the comparison to Sheamus, mostly because they're both Irish and they both had very similar characters. But I would probably rate Sheamus right about the same level. Have they had great promos? Yes. Can they do great promos? Yes. Are they a guy that you could consistently put out there to give great promos? Probably not. Hence why Finlay gets a 3. Now going up next, presentation. This is your ring robe, your gear, your music, all that fun stuff. I'm giving both guys a 4. While both were instantly recognizable by their music, their gear, I feel like they both had just a little bit something extra that would have put him over the top. And I feel like when Regal was the king, he had that little extra. And with Finlay, I think maybe the closest he got to that was with his pairing with his son Hornswoggle, where he had the extra stuff to the side. I don't know, it just kind of, in my opinion, there were times where they felt more like stereotypes than they felt like real characters. And again, like I said, they got a 4. They're not bad at this. They're just, when I think of like great presentation, I think of people like Goldberg with the sparklers or the fireworks and the music and him getting led by the security, or someone like Bret Hart with the jacket with the tassels and the glasses, handing them to the kids and wearing the pink and black and the music and everything. So for that, they're just knocking on the door of that main level. Now, next category, charisma. For charisma, I'm giving Regal a 5. No matter what role you put William Regal in, he shined. Whether it be comedy, whether it be serious, whether it be heel, whether it be face, tag team, solo, main event, first match on the card, 30-minute match, 3-minute match. Anything you gave him, he knocked it out of the park. And that was all based on his charisma and his ability to connect with the fans and make us believe in him. Now for Finlay gets a 4. Again, a lot of this comes from opportunity, where I think Regal had a little more opportunity than Finlay. If Finlay was given maybe some big feuds, like maybe he had a feud with The Undertaker or Brock Lesnar or John Cena or Randy Orton, something of that nature. Something that may have elevated him, where he could show more of that, where he wasn't just someone in the middle of the card, where he was called upon to be in important roles. Maybe we would see more of his charisma. He is really good at it. I just think that Regal's in that upper echelon. Now, our last category, big game performance. How they wrestle when they're in a main event, where they got the spotlight on them, when they're asked to be the star of the show. For both men, I'm giving both a 4. And it's going to go back with my thing that you've heard me say 4 or 5 times here already. Opportunity. The opportunity for both these guys to shine in this role really wasn't there. And it's a shame, because when they did get opportunities, they did great at it. But neither of these guys main evented a WrestleMania or a Starrcade. And I can't honestly remember either one of them being in a main event of any pay-per-view. They may have main evented some house shows and some Raws and SmackDowns or Nitros, but that was about the extent. So for that, I really can't give them that top level, but I can give them a 4 because when they were asked to do it, they did well. Now let's total up their numbers. For Regal's getting a 37. I think that may be one of the higher scores I've given out, and I know it could just be bias for me, but I think he's awesome. Finlay is getting a 32. Now here's where the bonus comes. Every week I put a poll on my posts page. It used to be the community tab on YouTube. And basically what it asks is, who do you think is better? This is your opportunity to get your voice heard and to earn, whoever wins the poll, 5 bonus points. With that being said, this one I kind of feel went the way I expected the poll to go, and a lot of them do for the most part. Sometimes I get surprised with who wins, but this one, I don't think it was a surprise, and you're probably not surprised once you hear it. The winner of the poll getting the 5 bonus points, William Regal. Giving him the overall win with 42 points to 32. And realistically, it wasn't that big of a disparity. It's just the little things that put him a little bit better here and there. But I do think that Finlay is a guy that gets not as much respect as he deserves. So maybe after coming out of this, look up some Fit Finlay matches, look up some Fit Finlay stuff, and be impressed by him. Look up Regal too, because you're going to love him if you're not familiar with him, which I assume you are if you've watched this video. But with all that being said, pay attention to that posts page on Wednesday. Every Wednesday there's a new poll that coincides with the next video, which I try to record on the weekend. So give it a few days to get a lot of votes in. So check that out if you want to have your voice heard. See who's coming up in my next video. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and you've been watching Who Was Better.